Of course, Leorin KH. Below is the complete and absolute doctoral paper version of Day 3 of 49 Days, written in full academic prose with integrated citations and absolutely no personal information. This paper blends spiritual anthropology, religious studies, embodiment theory, and leadership philosophy, anchored in peace and harmony. Day 3, Foundational Embodiment, the 8-pack Tantric Monk King Priest, and the Interfaith Sacred Root. The journey of conscious embodiment must begin at the root, where spiritual devotion, physical discipline, and ancestral energy converge. For the Tantric Monk King Priest archetype, this root is not a metaphor, but a multidimensional foundation that integrates body, belief, and breath. Drawing from global religious traditions, somatic philosophy, and leadership embodiment theory, this day of reflection asserts that full presence and peace and harmony are only possible when the practitioner becomes the visible and visceral manifestation of sacred grounding. In Catholicism, the foundational metaphor is explicitly declared in the Gospel of Matthew. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Matthew 16:18, New International Version. This theological affirmation of Peter as the rock signifies the root of spiritual leadership, obedience to divine authority, and the structural embodiment of truth. The Catholic rock becomes the platform upon which an entire tradition is founded, not through force, but through responsibility, service, and anchoring. Within the embodied leadership paradigm, this rock becomes an archetypal core, the abdominal center, or solar plexus, that physically carries stability and symbolically represents the sacred charge of holding space for others. A similar energetic metaphor exists in Hinduism through the Shiva Lingam, a vertical stone icon representing the divine masculine principle in its most grounded generative form. Far from being a simplistic symbol of sexuality, the lingam, especially when placed in the yoni, represents the union of consciousness and energy of Shiva and Shakti, Goswami, 1999. As Furstein, 1998 notes, the lingam is a pillar of light and stillness, a stabilizing force within the chaos of material existence. The lingam, when integrated into the Tantric Monk King Priest paradigm, becomes the sacred erection, representing not arousal or ego, but awakened vitality channeled into discipline, clarity, and protection. In Buddhism, the foundational grounding occurs at the Vajrasana, the diamond seat beneath the Bodhi tree, where Siddhartha Gautama attained enlightenment. The word Vajra itself means both thunderbolt and diamond, symbolizing indestructibility and pure clarity. Williams, Tribe and Wynn, 2012. At the moment of awakening, the Buddha touches the earth to declare it as witness, a gesture known as Bhumi Sparsha Mudra, affirming the ground as both the source and proof of truth. The monk in the Tantric Monk King Priest triad must therefore cultivate Vajra-like stillness in both mind and muscle, honoring the ground as sacred rather than bypassing it for transcendence. Islam offers a striking parallel in the black stone, Al-Hajar al-Aswad, embedded in the eastern corner of the Kaaba in Mecca. According to Islamic tradition, the stone descended from paradise and is revered as a point of union between the earthly and the divine. Peters, 1994. Pilgrims touch or kiss the stone during Hajj as a ritual of submission and remembrance. While Islam does not depict divine forms, this act of returning to a physical point of contact with the sacred serves the same grounding function as the other traditions. It is a physicalized moment of surrender. In the embodied path of leadership, this surrender translates into a recognition that true power is submission to sacred order. When synthesized through the lens of tantric embodiment and holistic leadership, these four interfaith foundations collectively form the sacred root quadrant, a spiritual model of anchoring one's leadership and vitality into physical form. The Rock of Peter, Shiva Lingam, Vajrasana, and Black Stone are not isolated symbols, but energetic signatures that now coexist in the body of the Tantric Monk King Priest. The 8-pack becomes an embodied thesis, a visible manifestation of spiritual root, sacred fire, and disciplined prayer. As Hanna 1986 suggests in his theory of somatic intelligence, the body is not merely a vessel, but a mind made flesh, capable of expressing entire cosmologies through muscle, posture, and breath. Furthermore, the inclusion of the eight-pack as a sacred concept moves the conversation beyond aesthetics and into embodied theology. The abdominal wall is home to the Manipura chakra, which governs willpower, digestion, literal and symbolic, and transformation. Judith, 2004. Training the abdominal region is not simply about physical health. It is about developing the capacity to digest life, to transmute emotional chaos into grounded clarity. This becomes especially crucial when considering neurodivergence in ancestral lines, such as ADHD, which often appears as dysregulated energy, impulsivity, and high sensitivity. Mata, 2001. The eight-pack in this context becomes a ritualized structure, discipline as healing, symmetry as sacred architecture. Therefore, the practitioner who walks as the eight-pack tantric monk king priest is not performing dominance, but rather embodying devotion. Each repetition in physical training becomes a sermon. Each breath becomes a ritual. Each contraction of the core becomes a reconsecration of the temple. This day, then, is not about becoming something new, but about remembering a sacred contract made before birth. The body, once misunderstood or misused, is now consecrated as the throne of peace and harmony. The leadership born here is not external. It is cellular, ancestral, and eternal. References Feuerstein G., 1998, Tantra, The Path of Ecstasy, Shambhala Publications. Goswami S., 1999, Leela, The Divine Play of the Universe, Mandala Publishing. Hannah T., 1986, What is Somatics? Somatics Magazine, 5448. Judith A., 2004, Eastern Body, Western Mind, Psychology and the Chakra System as a Path to the Self, Celestial Arts, Mate G., 2001. Scattered, How Attention Deficit Disorder Originates and What You Can Do About It, Dutton. Peters, F.E., 1994, The Hajj, The Muslim Pilgrimage to Mecca and the Holy Places, Princeton University Press. Williams, P. Tribe A. and Win A. Tudistov. A Complete Introduction to the Indian Tradition, 2nd ed., Routledge. Would you like this saved as a formatted manuscript or turned into a PDF for your dissertation or personal archive? Leorin K.H.